Have you ever lay awake in the dead of night, staring at the ceiling utterly exhausted by the quiet crushing weight of wishing your life had turned out differently? That silent, violent war you wage against your own reality is draining the life out of your soul drop by solitary drop. Before we walk down this dimly lit path together, I invite you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel so we can keep having these quiet midnight conversations whenever the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry alone. We spend so much of our brief, flickering existence fighting against what has already happened. You know the exact feeling I am talking about. It is a terrifying knot in the center of your stomach. It is a shallow breath. It is the sensation of a tightly wound up clockwork mechanism inside your chest that is spinning out of control, threatening to shatter your ribs from the inside. We mourn the past, we dread the unknown future. We fiercely resent the present moment if it does not perfectly match the fragile picture we drew in our minds. We are like shipwrecked sailors in a stormy sea, trying to command the waves to be still. We bail the freezing dark ocean water, with our bare hands shivering and furious that the tide does not obey our tears. The water is cold, and the night is dark, and the exhaustion you feel is absolute. We drag a heavy rusted anchor behind us, through the thick mud of our days, convinced that if we just pull hard enough, we can somehow drag our lives back to a place where pain does not exist. But the wind blows where it will. We bleed our precious energy into the dry soil, fighting the ghosts of what could have been, and what should have been, and what we thought we deserved. The phantom lives we never lived haunt us endlessly. We build magnificent invisible cities in our minds inhabited by the people. We lost the opportunities we missed, and the idealized versions of ourselves that never saw the light of day. And every single time we visit these ghost towns, we return to our actual waking lives, feeling completely robbed empty and profoundly tired. It is a slow, suffocating grief. You wander through your daily routines like a ghost haunting your own existence. You smile, you nod, you perform your duties perfectly, but inside a silent scream echoes through the empty rooms of your mind. It feels exactly like walking through an abandoned house where the floorboards creak under the weight of memories, and the windows are coated in a thick dust that obscures the sun. You throw your fragile body against the locked iron door of reality, hoping it will somehow give way and let you into a different, softer universe, but the iron door never moves. It only leaves you bruised. We have been taught from a very young age to fight our circumstances. We have been conditioned to believe that resistance is the only measure of strength. We think that if we just refuse to accept our pain, we can somehow conquer it. We build elaborate fortresses of sand on the edge of the roaring tide, thinking our careful planning will keep the ocean at bay. But what if everything we have been taught about strength is entirely wrong? What if your deepest suffering is not caused by the difficult events of your life, but by your relentless, desperate resistance to them? I want you to imagine that you are wandering down a foggy forest road. The mist is thick and you cannot see more than a few steps ahead. Suddenly the ground gives way and you fall into a vast, freezing river. Your immediate raw instinct is to swim frantically against the current, to thrash wildly in the dark water, fighting to return to the muddy bank you just slipped from. You swallow water, your muscles burn, and a blinding panic consumes your mind. But the river is infinitely stronger than you. Your desperate resistance is not saving you, it is drowning you. Now imagine what happens the exact moment you make the terrifying decision to stop fighting. You surrender your tired weight to the unknown water. The river still carries you away from where you wanted to be, but you are no longer drowning, you are floating. You can finally lift your face to the sky and breathe the cool, clean air. This is the very first step out of the dark woods. It is the quiet, humbling realization that reality is an immovable mountain, and you are but a fragile traveler passing over its ancient stones. You cannot command the mountain to move. You can only choose how you walk its steep paths. But as I navigated my own dark nights, I realized that simple acceptance is simply not enough. I used to believe that merely tolerating my circumstances was the ultimate goal. I thought, if I could just grit my teeth and endure the bitter medicine of my life, I would eventually find peace. But mere tolerance is a pale, fragile thing. It is a temporary truce, not a true victory. When you merely tolerate your life, you are still carrying a subtle, hidden poison of resentment in your veins. You are like a prisoner who has stopped rattling the iron bars, but who still hates the cage with every fibre of their being. Know the true transformation, the profound shift that changes absolutely. Everything requires something far more radical. I realized this one freezing evening, while sitting alone in a dark room, watching a massive fire burn in a stone hearth. I started throwing pieces of discarded rotting wood into the hungry flames. I threw in dry leaves, damp twigs, broken branches, and bitter bark. The fire did not reject any of it, it consumed it all without hesitation. Whatever was thrown into the fire instantly became fuel for the fire. The flames grew brighter, hotter, and more magnificent with every piece of broken debris I fed it. And in that quiet room, watching the sparks fly up the chimney, a thought crystallized in my mind that changed my life forever. What if we could become exactly like the fire? What if everything that happens to us, the sharp heartbreak, the sudden illness, the profound losses, the bitter betrayals, and the shattered dreams could be actively used as raw fuel for our own burning brilliance? This is not just passively accepting your life. This is actively, deeply loving your fate. I have come to see that we are all weaving a massive, intricate tapestry with our lives. From the back, where we spend most of our time looking at it, the tapestry seems like a chaotic mess. It is full of ugly knots, tangled threads, and dark, heavy colours that seem to clash and make no sense. We judge our entire existence by these ugly knots. We wish we could cut out the black threads of grief and the grey threads of anxiety. But if we could somehow step out of our own perspective and flip the tapestry over, we would immediately see that those exact dark threads are the ones that give the golden threads their blinding brilliance. Without the deep black shadows, the picture would have no contrast, no depth, and no meaning. To love your fate is the fierce, uncompromising decision to say yes to exactly what is. It is the courage to embrace the entirety of your unpredictable journey, not in spite of the pain, but intimately including it. It is the choice to love the terrible, beautiful mess of it all, because this is your life. It is the only one you have. To reject any part of it is to reject yourself. When you finally step into this way of being something miraculous, happens deep within your bones and muscles, the perpetual exhausting tension that has lived in your shoulders, and your jaw for 1,000 days begins to melt away into the earth. You stop frantically looking for escape routes. You stand firmly on the ground, feeling the solid dirt beneath your feet, and you look at the horizon and say, "Bring it on. If it is joy, I will use it. If it is sorrow, I will use it." When an unexpected storm tears the roof off the safe little house you carefully built, you do not sit in the cold rain and weep endlessly for the lost ceiling. You look up, wiping the water from your eyes, and realize that for the very first time in years you can finally see the stars. You learn to fall. You learn to fall madly in love with the unwritten, unpredictable nature of your own story. You become the master artist of your response instead of the helpless victim of your circumstances. If this profound shift in perspective is bringing a quiet peace to your racing mind right now, I ask you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding channel so we can continue to navigate these deep waters together and find brilliant clarity in the chaos. Think about the sheer intoxicating freedom of no longer needing your life to be anything other than exactly what it is right now. You are no longer desperately waiting for the perfect weather conditions to finally be happy. You are no longer postponing your inner peace until you reach some imaginary horizon that keeps moving further away. You arrive right here, right now. The present moment is no longer a frustrating obstacle you must overcome to get to the good part of your life. The present moment becomes your true home. Imagine taking off a heavy canvas backpack filled with rough, heavy stones that you have carried on your bleeding shoulders for 1,000 miles. Feel the immediate dizzying lightness. Feel the way your spine naturally straightens and your chest opens up. The night air feels incredibly cool and clean against your skin. The path ahead might still be steep. The woods might still be deep and full of moving shadows, but you are no longer afraid of the dark. You are walking with a quiet, undeniable power that nobody can ever take away from you. You have fallen completely in love with the journey itself. You are in love with the freezing rain, the thick mud, the blinding sun, and the howling wind. You have stopped demanding that the vast universe shrink down to conform to your fragile little wishes. Instead, you have expanded your own heart to hold the entire magnificent, terrifying universe within you. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Every misstep, every bitter tear, every lonely, sleepless night has flawlessly led you to this exact moment of deep realization. There are no mistakes in the great unfolding of your beautiful life. Everything belongs. Close your eyes for just a moment. Take a long, slow, deep breath in, filling your lungs entirely with the cool air, and let it out with a soft, long sigh. The war is over. You do not have to fight anymore. You can finally rest in the profound, unwavering certainty that your fate is not a cruel punishment. It is your ultimate masterpiece.